Hello. Um, I'm Stefan, and this is Daniel. We're in business together, and we decided to start a video cast together called Greater Talks. Our thinking is that there is a lot of interesting topics that need to be discussed, specifically for our generation, for our nation, and I think the idea is that we want to keep it really truthful. That's one thing that's super important for us, and really raw, which I think is maybe a term that's a bit cliched and overused, but nonetheless, that is the idea. So this is officially, I think, episode 1. Without further ado, Dan, if you could share some of your thoughts.
So I'm Daniel, and I think myself and Stefan, we've been in business now for maybe a year. We started our startups. We've got a couple running currently, but and maybe the reason why we decided to start the podcast and actually to start speaking about it is we hear all the issues in our country, and specifically South Africa, and maybe talk about Africa, but we hear about all these issues, and nobody's, for instance, what we learned this last year, or not learned, but the things we've been doing this last year. There was no school that taught us this. And especially when I was in business with my dad, there's a lot of stuff that we did then that there was no course or whatever that I could have done that could have learned me to get to these fundamentals. That's actually, not to say that we put our government to blame, but there's a lot it's almost like we've been kept in the dark, and especially our generation and the youngsters in South Africa, for me, it's just the thing of it's an issue that somebody needs to address. And then for us as youngsters building businesses, and for instance, me and Stefan had a couple of discussions that we can go to, or we wanted to go to, let's say, for instance, Dubai, or to move towards the other place. But then our country is still sitting within the same issue. So, and for me, it's just something that I think we need to speak about. So we wanted to bring it up to a platform like this, where we can actually have, and speak about it, and like addressing the things that maybe people don't want to speak about. So for me, I think there's a huge need for youngsters like us speaking about these issues.
Listen, I agree. I think for me, and I mentioned it when we started, but I really think there's an opportunity to actually start seeking truth about a lot of topics. And I mean, off the bat mentioned one, but in essence, we actually had a chat this morning, and I think we'll address it in a separate episode, in some detail. We actually had a discussion this morning, regarding so many South Africans and so much of our young talent leaving the country. And we really, it's almost like a request to say, guys, why leave? Rather come back. We've got a nation to build. We've got something to do here. We've got seed to sow here. Something needs to change, and it's that age-old principle, that says, that if good men do nothing, evil will prevail. And what that means, I think, is up for discussion. But the essence of it, I think, remains true. Right. The idea is that there's opportunity here, and we really want to drive that cause, and not only the cause, but also truthfully and humbly open up the conversation and start driving real conversations about these things. And when I say real conversations, I mean conversations that actually lead to fruit. Not conversations that just fall on dead ground, but conversations that actually fall on fruitful ground, and start bearing fruit for the people of the future, of South Africa. I think, one of the key drivers why we want to start this is that, I mean, both of us have got children.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually really a key thing for us, and we want to stay here, and not only just stay here, but I mean, it's not actually only South Africa bound; it's globally bound. I mean, how does the world look 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? And I think the responsibility is in this generation's hands, and when I say just this generation, To be clear, I think, and I mean, this can obviously change, but the way that we've discussed it is everybody, let's say from 18 up until about 35, at least, it's our responsibility to
And the
actually
change
build
need
that
to come
future.
from them. If we're gonna sit and wait for all the, and I think that's major issues that bug us in a sense. That, and the reason for us starting this is we realize that it's not to say it's a world for young men, but the issue is that where is the youngsters? My father asked me, listen, what are you guys doing to build, for instance, the city you guys are in? Or because they were the Oaks that built their towns where they were involved in. So, and that challenged me by, taking the responsibility for myself. Because the youngsters, where is the young generation? Because it needs to come from us. We're the ones, and this is also, if we can maybe challenge and like hype one guy, because there's a lot of talent in our townships. There's a lot of talent in the young, the small towns. We had a discussion this morning, but one of our good friends are leaving the country currently, and a lot of my good mates are outside of the country. And not that I have a problem with that, but I do have, in a sense of our cream of the crop is leaving our country, and it's leaving us. And not say us, all of the guys between 18 and let's say 35, 40, for us to build this country. Because if all the good talent are leaving, and I said to him this morning, one of my good mates, he left to the Netherlands, and I was actually talking to him the day before he left, and he actually literally, I asked him, listen, why are you leaving? He says, you were raised up by one of our country's, one of the biggest companies in the country, to become CEO. So they have this program that they raise people up. And I asked him, yes, you were almost the chosen one for that company.
Yeah.
But he's leaving, and that's also maybe something that, for me, I've got a huge issue with that. Because it's almost, if all the good Oaks is leaving the country, yes, it's not like it's easier for us.
Yes.
It's all the good talent are out there.
100%.
And that's also some of the things I think we need to address and speak about it, because nobody's speaking about it. It's almost like it's okay to leave the country. It's going to the New Zealand, going to Australia, going to the Netherlands, going to Cayman. It's an issue.
I agree. And here's the thing, and again, I mean, this might actually turn into an episode, right? But, one of the themes that came out when we were discussing this is it feels like, and again, I think both of us, we want to start the conversation, right? And from that perspective, we really are teachable. So the idea is, if we're wrong, more than happy to actually discuss and debate it and have our opinions change or our thinking
And
change.
put comments in the comment section, please. So we can communicate with you guys as well to say, listen, we're talking nonsense.
Yeah, well,
so
listen,
that
let's not go for
we
nonsense.
don't feel, but we don't feel that way. I believe that there's some, we need to probe something.
100%.
so-
So the thing is, with regards to our view, at least, with so much of the talent actually leaving the country, is it feels like, or looks to us like, that decision is based on fear. Now, I mean, there might be a lot of reasons to actually fear things, but it's almost like choose your fear. Like it's not like it's really perfect anywhere in the globe or on the globe right now.
Listen, anybody that traveled the world will know for a fact
Exactly.
that if they come back to our country, it's almost like, yes, it was so lucky to travel, and it's lovely to travel. I love to travel. But every time I come back, it's like, yes, there's no place on earth like South Africa. There's no place on earth like my town. There's something to it.
100%. And here's the thing, right? Just to close that loop, or at least in terms of my thinking, is that I can't recall ever having seen a good decision being made based on fear.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And that might be wrong. There are people that gets opportunity, etc. But the question is the predominant underlying foundation for that decision actually fear? And if that is the case, I certainly think there's a discussion to be had to say, listen, it might actually be the wrong call.
And so when I was in business with my father the last 10 years, he always taught me that, and it's almost like the same principle thread that I think of, is we never made big decisions while we were under the pump. We never made like super difficult decisions, because then you'll make a fearful decision. That you'll make emotional decisions, and it's
100%.
almost like it's our younger, or specifically our generation, and the guys that's more or less our age. It's almost like they go seek for that. The grass is greener on the other side. It's almost
Yes.
like there's better opportunity that way. Nonsense. The thing for me is the opportunity needs to be in our country. Africa's economy that need to be stimulated. There's huge activity that's gonna happen in Africa.
Yes.
And it feels for me in all these oaks that's going to work for, oaks in the Caymans, wherever overseas, is just, outside of the country. They give their talents to those oaks, and they just use them to excel whatever they're busy with. And it's a fact. We need to. Where's the youngsters that's going to build our country? Our
I
country
agree.
is in the corruption, all these things. And yes, there's negativity, but if we're going to leave and every professional is going to leave the country, that's never going to change.
I
Then
agree.
all of us just would rather leave and
I
leave the
agree.
country up for fail. But if nobody's going to do anything about it, it's not going to change.
And the thing is, right, if you take a view or a holistic view, on it, it's like this situation is almost in every facet or every part of South Africa, right? There's opportunity in politics. There's opportunity in business. There's opportunity in education. There's opportunity, in terms of being an entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. There really is opportunity, but it's sort of taking the stance or the position that says, listen, I'm going to give it a good shot here and actually, stay here and remain here and build something. Because listen, it's better to build it here than to build it abroad, right? That's
Well,
why
what are you
your
building?
family is here. Your roots are here. I think there's to be really honest, is there more opportunity offshore?
For a fact not. The thing is, for me is, and we saw it in our businesses. You can build an international business being in South Africa. We've got a couple of friends that build international businesses from South Africa, still doing business in the States, still doing business in the Netherlands. Telling now, we'll talk about the Netherlands, but in the UK, you can do business abroad, but still be in South Africa. You
Correct.
can,
And that's great for the economy. I mean, that's an injection into the economy.
That's exactly what needs to happen. And we spoke about it. I believe I'm going to maybe live 3 months here, 3 months there, but I'm never leaving the country.
Yes.
The entities will stay in our country. Maybe we'll have some, but we don't need to go there, but maybe we'll have some businesses outside. But the thing is, the building of my roots are in South Africa. And for me, it's a thing of, and this is now becoming a big topic, but the thing for me is there's something to it where you are born. There's some
I agree.
sort of root where, and I really believe, that there's some sort of, I would say, purpose in it. If you are born in South Africa, there needs to be something that needs to be done in the country where you are born.
I agree.
And I don't want to go to a territory that I don't know, people that I don't know, community that I need to reestablish. I've established a community in my 30 years in South Africa, and
Yes.
this is my network, this is my people, and this is where I want to have a change and drive a change. And exactly for us,
Yes.
starting the video cast and podcast. So,
So let me just ask you a question on that, and I'm sorry to cut in, right? And I mean, you can decide how deep you want to delve into it, right? So this is your call. But do you believe that you are called to the nation in which you are born?
100%. And that's actually maybe something that I wanted to get to, or a point what I wanted to make regarding where you are born. There's some sort of root towards that.
Yes.
And I think that's why we didn't discuss starting this, and we didn't discuss a lot of topics of what we're going to speak about. This is a general issue that both of us, and not only both of us, we're just the ones that prompt and say, listen, we're going to speak. But
Taking the leap of faith, the plunge.
yeah, all of us, we've got a lot of white friends, we've got a lot of black friends. All of them feel the same.
Agree.
It's not just the thing of we young businessmen and we're building businesses and this is what we want to do because we want to drive to change. It's all of our friends feel exactly the same. It's just nobody's speaking about it. Nobody's got, we hear about it, then maybe, certain political parties or political oaks will talk about it, but that's just to drive votes.
Yes.
There's not a pure intent of speaking about, listen, what is the nonsense that is being telling to our country, to people that wanted to start businesses, all these things of, and I never want to take anything away about a degree. But people were sitting with degrees in Africa, but they cannot make a cent. They don't know how to make a living. They don't know how to run a business. They don't know the basics of what they need to do. But back to your question, I truly believe that there's something towards where you are born. And not specifically maybe the town or whatever, but the land where you are born and the country where you are born, there needs to be something. If you go check all the people, listen, Elon Musk is one of the few guys that made a huge difference in another country.
But he can bring $1 billion or $2 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out
and
Elon.
at least bring
With
the
all
Tesla
humbleness.
to our country. So, but go check the people that had huge change in a country were people that were born in that country. Nelson Mandela in South Africa, he made global differences, but he
Yes.
made a big difference in our country. And it's now speaking about him, but there's a lot of influential oaks and people that really changed history. But you won't get an oak that would be born in Baghdad and then he comes and changes South Africa. That doesn't work.
Well, I mean, listen, I agree, because I think in essence for me, it's the country that you're born in. I really just, it's a personal belief
There's
maybe,
something to it.
but I believe the country that you're called in, you're called to do something, that you're called to actually make a difference there. Unless you're called to another nation, which is possible.
Yeah.
But it's not, well, I doubt that it's statistically possible
Yeah.
for the majority
Yeah.
of talent to be called to
No,
another
that's
nation.
not the case.
Because otherwise, who's going to build the
that's-
country?
no,
You
that's
get
not
what I'm
the case.
saying? So there's something to be said about that. That
No,
you're called to your land
that's it. And
and make a difference there.
And
you
if
know?
we can, like, challenge the youngsters, the 18-year-olds, the oaks that wanted to start their new businesses, the ones that really need some oomph or something that they need, or like positivity, or just the motivation to start the new businesses. There need to be a lot of new businesses in our country, a lot of new ideas in our country.
Amen. That's a
Then
fact.
the oaks, the youngsters need to start, trusting themselves, believe in themselves. Don't have this financial, because I didn't come from a wealthy family, now I cannot start, or I need to go work for this oak. If they can start, if the youngsters can start going after their talents and turn that into their passions, turn that into profitable businesses, or at least just into a business so that it can become profitable.
Yes.
But if they can have that mindset of we are not unprivileged and come out of this, bad experience or bad history or all that nonsense that our countries keep on bombarding our people with, is to say that all these people are neglected and all, and
Well, I think if I can just cut in there, because I think that's something, and we've discussed this. I don't necessarily say at length, but it is something that, I mean, we have dived into, right? And that is that you are born. Well, I mean, at least that's our belief, right?
Yeah.
You're born with all the potential that you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
You don't gain more potential as you grow older. You're born with all the potential that you already have. You're born with all the seed that you can actually ever sow, to actually bear fruit. So it's sort of, to me, what I hear you saying, and I mean, I think we agree on this, is the idea that there needs to be, especially in this generation that we're talking about now, a sort of a reawakening in terms of understanding that you actually are valuable. You actually do have the potential. You actually do have everything in you to actually achieve the things that let's say that God placed in your heart, right? Your
100%.
dreams, your hopes, your vision, all of those things. But it starts with that understanding of, I can actually do it, as opposed to, I'm a step behind.
But what we as South Africans need to understand is that there's a different message that's been sent to our people. There's a different, and not only racial. It's a South African thing.
Well, I think it's become a sort of a driven discussion amongst South Africans. But to be fair, I don't think that's like a domestic thing. I think that's a global thing, to be really honest. I mean, and that's something that I don't want to say advocated for yet, right? But it is something that we, feel pretty serious about, and that is actually driving unity, as opposed to being divisive.
Yeah, and that's
It feels like the lack of unity across all spheres is crazy. I mean, it's almost impossible these days to walk into a room and just feel a bit of unity.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the racial things or all of the stuff that are very topical. I'm just talking about unity in general, sort of going after the same cause, just simpler things even.
Well, building the country back up.
100%.
Having
Well,
new
that's not
parties
necessarily
running.
simple, but yes.
Having young leaders to rise up that's against all these, and people speaking out against all these corruption that's going on in our country. And I believe there are a couple, but the thing is,
Well, the time is now to start standing up.
yes,
It really is.
and
The time
making
is now
a
to start
difference
driving.
and
I
talk
agree.
about all these issues and addressing all these issues. And despite of all the bribes and all the things that's going on, to penetrate one message and to let the people almost out of the dark. Because that's something that I really feel our country needs. We need some light. Listen, we've been in the dark this last.
Well, listen, no pun intended, right? We do need some light.
We do need some light.
Listen, I think the idea was not that this should actually,
Go into an episode.
go into that level of discussion, but I think from my side, right, to close it down, the idea is really to from a humble and a truthful perspective, drive real conversations. And we're gonna really put some energy behind this. We are super excited about it. I hope that the passion can be felt through the screen on that side. But we really are passionate about this, and we're gonna invite a lot of people. We're gonna have a lot of guests, and we're really gonna drive this, to actually start this conversation for a generation that we believe needs hope, and that needs vision. And that needs some inspiring.
And talk about the real stuff. Maybe stuff that other, either podcast or news or whatever don't talk about.
The tough topics, right?
The topics that maybe get under people's skin. So we'll go there and we'll discuss it with all parties and make sure that there's clarity that we bring towards at least the young South Africans that need to build the nation. Because we need to take the baton and realize that we cannot wait for anybody to build this country. We need to do it ourselves. We cannot wait for the older generation to now change the country or change all the, the situations we are in. We need to take the baton and we need to change the country. So we'll discuss that things, and I think we'll bring in some good guests that can bring some good insight. And at least that's the plan. And we'll be persistent with this. So stay tuned. Follow us, and really we hope that we can give hope towards everybody.
Indeed.
Great.
Cool. Thank you.
Cheers.